You have the abilities, you have all of the skill sets, you just need to believe in yourself.
Welcome to Marketing Your Way podcast, a show for women in marketing and creative fields who are ready to rethink what's next. I'm your host, Anastasia Mann, marketing strategist, agency owner, career mentor, and once upon a time, a corporate VP of marketing. This is your go-to space for career reinvention, whether that means launching your own business, pivoting into freelance, or finding a role that finally feels like a fit. Each week, I bring you honest stories, actionable strategies, and mindset tools to help you move forward with clarity and confidence. We'll also dive into what's actually working in marketing right now, from personal branding and client acquisition to AI tools and emerging trends shaping the future of our industry. And just in case you're wondering, yes, this podcast comes with a Ukrainian accent and a whole lot of straight talk, because it's time to build a career that works for you. Let's dive in. Today, I'm joined by Kim Wright, the founder of Big Pecan PPC, a Google Ads and search engine marketing expert who has spent over a decade mastering the art of paid media. Kim started her career in automotive marketing, one of the most male-dominated, high-pressure corners of the industry, and worked her way up to director-level roles at agencies before deciding to go out on her own. Along the way, she built her confidence, found mentors who believed in her, and learned how to run her business on her own terms. Now she manages PPC campaigns for clients across the US and internationally from her home in Texas, where she also runs a small cattle ranch. Kim's story is a powerful example of what's possible when you set boundaries, push through self-doubt, and bet on yourself. In this conversation, we talk about her path from burnout to building a thriving PPC agency, how she overcame imposter syndrome, and the boundaries she set to create a career and life she actually loves. Let's dive in. Hi, Kim. Welcome to Marketing Your Way podcast. I'm very excited to have you here today with us. And to kick things off, if you had to introduce yourself in 30 seconds, what's your elevator pitch?
It would be that I am a Google Ads search engine marketing person working across the US, and I look at search engine marketing like a puzzle to be unlocked. Every account's different, everything like that, and I just find it really fun.
I love that. Okay, thank you. So what's one thing people would never guess about your life in Texas?
I have a cattle ranch. So I just started that out, and I have 3 little cute cattle.
I love it. I saw a picture that you sent me a few weeks ago, and that's amazing. I was hoping you'd give me this fun fact.
Yes, and one of them is now pregnant, so very exciting news.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, how long is their pregnancy usually?
9 months, so just like a person.
Oh, okay. Well, I cannot wait to get another update in 9 months. So you worked in both corporate and agency settings for years. What drew you to digital marketing?
Actually, I knew I wanted to do marketing and advertising in general since a middle school project when we had to make a yogurt company, and I decided I loved marketing and advertising. When I was in college going through my advertising courses, I got an internship at an agency, and that's where I was introduced to the digital side. And nobody was really talking about it as much then, but I just really started to get interested in it. And it's for a really weird reason. They got to sit on the dark side of the office, and I was really jealous of that. Instead of the light side, it had all the fluorescents on and everything. And so I really started getting interested in that way.
Awesome. So I know that you started in the automotive industry, a very male-dominated and high-pressure industry. What was that like for you, especially early on?
It was tough. I'm a pretty laid back person. And when I started in automotive, they were just kind of like, you're not going to succeed. You're too laid back. And there were a lot of critiques on things because I was female. You get critiqued more on how you appear every day, things like that. And then the clients themselves come from also a very old school mentality back then, that this was like a boys' club. So that was really rough. But it did teach me a lot very quickly, which was good. And I was able to kind of ramp up.
So At what point did you decide to leave that industry? And I do not know if you had anything in between or you started your agency right after that.
So I decided after about 8 years, I had been at a few companies helping them to kind of grow and then sell, do that I didn't want to do that anymore. And so I looked to go to general e-commerce. So I did go to another agency that was general e-commerce because in automotive back then, there were not shopping ads. There was none of that. So I didn't have experience with those things. So I wanted to learn that. So I went to e-commerce after that. And I think that was a really good move.
Yes, I started in real estate, and that was also a very male dominated industry, especially the development side of marketing. However, the company was created by a woman founder, and then two of her daughters were running the business. So it was very interesting to see as an outsider of how that communication were going between our company and the developers who were mostly men. And even the marketing department at that time was women only. Can you talk a little bit about the moment or season that pushed you to finally make the leap to freelancing?
Yeah, so I had been in e-commerce for a few years. I was at an agency that I was really lucky to get involved in. They really were able to build my confidence back up in myself, that I had kind of doubted myself, things like that. And what was happening at the time was I could see that we were very heavy on like certain clients and things like that. And that always worries me. Just coming from an agency background, if you're too heavy on one client, that can be dangerous. And then I got the news that my COO would be leaving the company. And I had really formed a strong bond with him. So many inside jokes, things like that. And that's when I decided, you know what, maybe I should go out on my own. And there were a lot of little things that kind of added up to it. But I was like, even if I go out on my own, I can always go back to an agency if it doesn't work out, if something's just not happening for me. And I potentially could get in a spot where I'm still helping them while they transition as well, because I was a director level there and we had someone out on maternity leave at the time. So there's definitely work. So that's kind of what I was like, it's the best time.
Absolutely. It's interesting, right? When the company structure shifts, did they hire from outside for that position, or did they decide to promote someone within?
They didn't necessarily bring someone in for a while, and that was long after I was gone. They had the CEO kind of stepped back in, and then some of the other responsibilities were redelegated out.
I'm glad that was your little trigger to start freelancing.
It was just, I was very happy with the way things had been, and I just was like, well, if everything's going to change anyway, maybe I'll just change too.
I love that. So how was acquiring of those first clients? Was that still from referrals and maybe past clients from different workplaces that you had, or what was it for you?
My first one was a referral, which was very exciting. And it was just supposed to be temporary to cover while someone was out on medical leave, but it actually ended up being almost 2 years. So that was great. And then I had the benefit of that agency still needed support as I was transitioning out and different things were happening. So I was able to also have them on board while I worked on more of the business development side of bringing in additional clients.
Yes, no, I was very lucky with the same type of transition. So, and I think that's an important lesson to remember, that you want to leave, regardless of your job situation, you want to leave on a good note, because you never know what doors those relationships will open for you, right?
Exactly, 100%.
So you mentioned that you were dealing with a little bit of self-doubt. What advice would you give to someone who knows they're good at what they do, but is struggling with self-doubt?
I mean, it's tough because I still go through it some days. I think everyone does. And I think the thing to remember is how far you've come. When you look at yourself, 3-4 years ago, how much more do you know now? And of course, there's always going to be things we don't know. We work in marketing. Things change constantly. For me, it's like every day Google is making some new announcement. And I'm like, wait, what? Okay, hold on. Let me catch up on that. And so I think it's just knowing that you have a foundation that will guide you in the correct direction every time you need to make that choice, and that nobody knows everything. And when you feel like you're really, really stuck, it's just that it's something new, and that's okay. And it's okay to kind of make mistakes along the way, as long as you're keeping an eye on things and learning and growing. That it's okay. We all do it. I mean, I know at the agencies, I've also made tons of mistakes, but because we were all a team, I didn't hold myself like as hard as I do on my own, if that makes sense. I was still very hard on myself, but it was like, okay, I have other people that can help support. And when you're on your own, you don't necessarily have that as much as like in that team, but it makes you grow so much more. And I think that's kind of the big thing, is you're going to grow so much.
True. Interestingly, when I started my agency, I've never actually did heavy social media. Like I would oversee the agencies that would do social media. I would oversee what's happening at the corporate level on social media. But when I was starting my business, everyone wanted social media. So as the main service, besides the email marketing and things like that, I still think that they're more important than social media. But it's a great branding tool. We all need it. It's a visibility tool, brand awareness, all you name it. So I had to learn a lot of things, social media at the very beginning, because all my potential clients wanted social media management as their first service, besides the rest of the package. So it was a good learning curve. Obviously, I knew how to post and what to do and how to create and all of that, but I did have to learn some new tips and tricks, and it definitely makes you grow. That's for sure.
I think that's
really fast.
Every day we're growing, and you're not going to know the answer to everything, and you are going to make mistakes, and it's okay as long as you are honest about it and you grow from it.
Yes. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, an all-in-one platform I recommend to every marketer ready to launch their business and finally build a website they're proud to share. With Squarespace, you don't need to know how to code or wait on a designer. You can launch a beautiful professional site in just a weekend with built-in tools for services, contact forms, lead magnets, email marketing, even appointment booking. It's what I used to launch my first business website, and I still use it for client projects and sales pages today. If you're ready to show up online like the expert you are, check it out at marketingyourwaypodcast.com/Squarespace. That link supports the show, and your business deserves to be seen. So I know that we talk about Google a little bit, and I actually just put out a guide for my real estate business about the Google and Instagram update, where Google is indexing Instagram posts. Could you tell us a little bit on your perspective? How is that shifting anything that you do with Big Pecan PPC?
So it's a little bit different because that's going to mostly be on the organic side, and I do just the paid side of Google, but there is a lot that can feed into how the paid side of Google is perceived based on the organic rankings, right? We know that if you rank higher organically and you have a paid ad, your ad is more likely to get clicked on. So I think that will be very interesting to see how far up Google ranks Instagram and other social media platforms, things like that for different brands. But I think and then we also have the AI side of things. There's so many things that are going on that I think it'll be really interesting to see where they kind of land on what the search engine results page looks like, because they have been doing quite a bit of testing. And so to see that layout and how those different areas could impact your paid performance, I think is going to be a very important thing to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And what do you see with the AI overview on Google now? How do you see that affecting the paid ads and sponsored posts that we usually would see on those ads?
Yeah, that's been really interesting. We do see a lot of kind of blog style content that brands have typically put out, frequently asked questions, different things like that are ranking in that box. And so depending on the brand, that may be something that they did or did not bid on with ads, just depending on the content. But I do think it adds more weight to a brand's reputation if they are showing there. So while that AI box has kind of pushed down the paid results a bit, I do think it is beneficial for brands. And I am sure one day in the future, we will be able to pay for placement in those AI boxes. I'm sure that's coming. It's just a matter of time. So I think kind of getting some foundational work going there is really important.
Yes, you touched a little bit about your company, Big Pecan PPC. So what kind of clients do you work with now, and what lights you up about this work?
So right now I work with all kinds of different brands. I do lead gen and I do e-commerce right now. So just kind of depends on their needs. I do within the US and I also do some international, typically focused on as long as they are an English speaking country because I am not good with other languages. It took me 3 years to pass Spanish 1, which is just not my strong area. But I do a lot of that. And I think what just gets me excited is something that I've had from the agency days, which is if you get stuck in one place, I can go work on like a different account and that'll inspire and like free up my brain to think about that problem of where I'm stuck and allow me to kind of take ideas and move between different kind of verticals, industries, things like that, and test out a lot of things. And I think that's the most exciting part is being able to take two things that are completely unrelated and test out similar things and seeing how they work for each one.
Yes. As you mentioned, so you have clients from different industries, which I've always found fascinating because I've been working in real estate for so long. So how did you find the niche, right? How did you find that this is going to be the e-commerce would be your niche? And of course, e-commerce is very, very diverse, right? You sell all kinds of things. But did you find any avenues that you feel like, you really enjoy working in?
So it really depends. I think what gets me the most excited is clients that are willing to test. If they are willing to test, I get excited. I think that's the most exciting thing. It doesn't matter what the product is. Obviously, if it's like a really exciting product that I'm interested in, that makes it even more exciting. But there are tons of products out there that just may not be directly for me. For example, if people have things that are meant for moms, I'm not a mom, but I can still market, right? I understand, I do the research, all of that. But if it's a product that's like for beginning farmers, cattle ranchers, I'm going to be even more excited because that's me. I don't know what I'm doing fully, but I'll figure it out. And I think that's exciting when you have those products that relate to you. But overall, the key to it all is just being willing to test, having some budget set aside for testing, because that's where we typically find where we can find more growth and scale is with some leniency there.
Absolutely. Do you also do social media ads or just Google?
I do not. My big thing has been I want my social media to remain fun and not become my work. So I have not gone down social media. I have gone into like Amazon ads, things like that. And then being a feed kind of specialist for the shopping side of things gives me enough exposure to social media without being fully in social media. When we're doing Google is more of a response to the demand, I would say most of the time, whereas social creates your demand. And so it's very different mindsets of how you're executing and doing things. I know Google's trying to move into the awareness more with the campaigns called like demand gen and things. But a lot of that does come from social because you're given the opportunity to engage or pass on social, whereas on like YouTube, you're kind of forced to watch the video.
True. If my real estate clients ask me if they have a certain amount of budget and they're asking me if they should go within the social media route, advertising on social or advertising on Google, I hands down say Google because we see much more qualified lead coming through Google than it is from social. Because social, they're just exploring. They saw something and they're like, okay, maybe I'm interested. Let me fill out the form. But in Google, you're truly searching for it and then you decide to fill out the form. So on the lead side, I think it's much, especially with the services like real estate, bigger purchase decision, more than a shirt or a dress or makeup item, it's a different approach to that type of lead gen. So yes, I understand where you're coming from. Absolutely. So what have been some of the biggest lessons or surprises since going out on your own?
I think the biggest thing was how much the IRS scares me and how complicated taxes are. So I formed my business as an S Corp for various reasons. And with that came a lot of different things that I had to do. And it was very, very overwhelming at first. I mean, even getting just a business bank account was harder than I imagined for some reason. It wasn't like very hard, but I felt like there were more steps than what I had originally imagined. And I think that was the biggest thing was when you're getting started, it does feel very, very overwhelming to set up all of these things to make sure that you have everything you need to operate a business legally, correctly, and appropriately. And I think that was the biggest thing. And I very quickly decided to bring on a bookkeeper because that was just draining me. And I think doing that was the best decision I ever made because it did free me up to do the things that I needed to do to keep everyone where they needed to be and really be in a happy place.
Absolutely. Do you have anyone right now on your team or are you still a solopreneur?
It is me.
Yes. I found that sometimes it's much easier to be a one-person show than having a team because it comes with training and managing the team and managing the expectations and making sure that the work is done and triple checking the work and all of that. So yes, I understand where that's coming from.
Yeah, and I think for me, part of it was that I knew if I brought on a team member, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to have to let them go. They're going to be relying on me for their income and things like that. And that was just a very intimidating realization to think about. And I didn't want that kind of responsibility. Whereas if it's just me, then I can make sure like, hey, I know that this is coming up. Here's what I need to do, and if that means I have to, for some reason, pull back on what, my salary or whatever that is, I can make those adjustments and I'm not hurting someone else's family.
I understand. Yes. That is the reality of a business owner, especially the startup. When you are just starting out and it's just you, it is scary. It is very scary at the beginning because you do not know how to form those S corps, where to file your tax ID number, and what other things that is required. I did found an interesting course that I took before forming the S corp. I think my next step is to hire a bookkeeper because it is taking a lot of time to get all these things in place. This episode is sponsored by Airtable, my go-to platform for managing everything in my business from content calendars and lead tracking to client deliverables and team tasks. If you're a marketer juggling multiple projects, Airtable is a game changer. It's like a spreadsheet and a project management tool had a very smart baby, one that's customizable, easy to use, and actually fun to look at it. I use it daily to plan podcast episodes, organize client work, and collaborate with my team. And it's the first system I recommend to anyone building a marketing business or side hustle. Want to try it? I've got an invite link for you at marketingyourwaypodcast.com/Airtable. It's free to start, and that link supports the show. So, are there any non-negotiables or boundaries you've put in place now that you run your own business?
Absolutely. So I think the biggest one is that the respect goes both ways. So there's no like screaming, name calling, any of that type of behavior. I don't tolerate that. If that happens, it's an immediate termination of the contract. I think that's the biggest one. And of course, I think I've had to work over time to set what are my hours that I'm willing to respond and not respond during, things like that, what to do in case of emergencies, things like that. So I do have those types of boundaries as well. But I think my biggest one is that the respect goes both ways.
Oh, yes. It's so important. I think that's the beauty of running your own business. There's obviously pros and cons to everything, but we are the ones to choose who we work with. And the fact that if someone does do something disrespectful, it's in your power to terminate that contract. And you don't have to go and ask for 1,000 approvals to tell them that this is really not the right client for the company.
Exactly.
And it doesn't even have to be really the screaming part. Sometimes it just the client values are not aligned with yours. And it's so much easier just to let go than spend that energy on trying to make that relationship work. I think that at that point, it's a better way to spend your energy on acquiring a new client that is aligned, right?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me is over my time through agencies, different things like that, I've had weeks where, I'm working 60, 70-hour weeks. And I've learned to find that value in my time off and my mental health. Because obviously, when you're working 70, 80-hour weeks, you're not prioritizing that and you're not getting to do anything fun and things like that. And it really weighs you down. And then if you're, working with someone that is difficult to work with on top of that, it just makes it worse. And so I think it's really helpful for both sides to have that respect.
This is my favorite part of every interview that I do. It's like a little rapid fire chat. So, your favorite business or mindset book?
I'm forgetting the exact name, but I think it's Death by Meeting.
A podcast you're loving right now?
It is called The Awesome, but it's ASOM. And so it's really cool. It brings together 4 different business roles, and they all get together and kind of talk about different things going on in just general e-commerce and business running and things like that. So I think it's always insightful.
Oh, I have to give it a listen. I haven't heard about it, so thank you. A mantra you live by?
You only live once. I know it's really cliche, but that would be it.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. Best career advice you've ever received?
The worst thing someone can do is say no.
Yes. If you do not ask, you will not receive.
Exactly.
That's my husband's favorite and my daughter's favorite. She always asks, no matter what. Even if I say no, she'll ask 3 times before I truly say no.
Exactly. You never know. It could change.
Exactly. So how do you define success now?
I think the biggest thing is I am able to now have the balance to raise my cattle, go do those things that I enjoy. And I have that balance in life of being able to get out there, do things, hang out with my husband, hang out with the dogs, the cows, everything. And also still have the work side where I'm very proud of, my work and things that I'm doing, and having both sides of that, being proud of the work for both sides and overall happy. I think that's how I define success. It's not necessarily a certain client or I want to have this much revenue or anything like that anymore. I think my perspective on that shifted a few years ago.
Yes. And I think the more you run your own business, the more you realize that you're truly buying your own time back to enjoy the life you want to live. I see it as the success is to be able to also walk away from the things that no longer serves you. So it's more of that freedom and flexibility that you can have as a person to do something else if this doesn't work out.
100%. And it's like, and you have that choice every day to be able to be like, today I'm having a very rough day. Here's the things I have to do, but then I need to walk away and come back to it. And I think that freedom is amazing because not every day is a good day.
Absolutely. AI and automation are changing the way we do marketing faster than ever before. But here's the thing, you don't have to figure it out on your own. That's why I created the Marketing Your Way community on Slack. It's a free space where women in marketing can come together to share AI tools, swap automation workflows, and run ideas past each other. Whether you're leading a corporate marketing team, running an agency, or freelancing on your own, this is where you'll find support, inspiration, and real-world examples you can put into action right away. So if you've been curious about AI, but not sure where to start, come join us. It's free, it's collaborative, and it's built to help you work smarter, not harder. You can join today at marketingyourwaypodcast.com/community. I cannot wait to see you inside. So now we come into a closing of our interview. Just a few more questions. So what's one mindset shift that helped you finally trust yourself enough to build your own business?
I think it was talking to several people that I had worked with over my career and, hearing from them how they viewed me made me change my view of myself. I was never like a C-level or a VP or anything that high up in a company. So I had always kind of just been like doubting myself. And part of the reason why I was never those roles is I didn't really like the managing people side of things as much. But they were like telling me, you can do this as a contractor, as a freelancer, and do just the parts you like. You don't have to manage people if you go out and do this. And they're like, you have the abilities, you have all of the skill sets, you just need to believe in yourself. And hearing that from multiple people and hearing kind of the same things was just the biggest shift and wake up call for me.
Beautiful. Yes. I think that us believing in our own ability to do things is the biggest part of a puzzle.
100%. That was my biggest obstacle by far.
So if you could go back to your past self and the burnout season, like the times you were working 80-hour weeks, what would you say to her?
That right now it's tough, but it will all pay off in the end. And that the learnings and experiences that you're getting during that time will benefit you in the future. I don't know if I would tell myself to not do it because I feel like I might not be where I am today if I didn't go through all of that and have all of those experiences. And so I think the biggest thing is to know, I would just tell myself then that it does pay off in the end.
I love that. And lastly, where can people connect with you and learn more about your work, Big Pecan PPC? And also, I do want to ask one more question after that because I do not know where you took your name from. So I would like to know that story.
Yeah. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I do have a website, but it's not beautiful right now. I'm working on it. But on LinkedIn, you can just look me up. It's under Kimberly Wright or reach out through email, kim@bigpecanppc.com.
And so Kim, how did you come up with the name? This is our last question.
Actually, one of my favorite questions. And so I live in a really small town, and our town had the world record for the world's largest pecan. And then another town somewhere up north decided to make an even bigger pecan, and they stole our title. And so then we had to make an even bigger pecan, and now that is just down the road from me. So that's kind of where I got it from.
I love that. Would not expect that answer. Well, again, thank you so much, Kim, for your time. This was a beautiful conversation. So happy we got to chat, and there are so many lessons that our listeners will take from this episode.
Well, thank you for having me. It has been wonderful chatting with you as always, and looking forward to more chats in the future.
And that's it for today's episode of the Marketing Your Way podcast. I hope you're walking away with fresh ideas, new insights, and the confidence to take your next step. If this episode spoke to you, please take a moment to leave a review. It helps more women in marketing find the show and build a marketing career on their terms. And hey, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Until next time, keep building your marketing career your way.